Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is Kenyan Revolutionary. I'll be here briefly, very brief today. It's Christmas. If you're in Kenya, it's probably evening. You're wrapping up your Christmas day. Maybe you're towed up somewhere. Ulikuwa na marafiki, family members, mnakula, mnakunywa, mnasherekea, which is fine. Some not so much because they have their family members who are abducted. A couple of young people abducted. As you can see today, the topic is abductions and biolab in Kenya. Ruto will be forced to resign soon and very soon. Actually, the reason why I say Ruto will probably be forced to resign or will be toppled is because I think the pressure is mounting on him by the wananchi, whether it's online or on the streets, to a point where his puppet masters or his ventriloquists will ask him to step down since he's not good for business. See, one thing about being a puppet is that if you're going to be a puppet, do not make it so obvious. These policies that seems to be geared in favor of the Western countries, it's yes, they want you, or they expect you to implement them, but you cannot. You have to do it in a slick way, okay? In a way that people can gradually accept them, all right? Now, with Ruto's administration, he is not even trying to, implement them in a slick way, okay? He is just abrasive in his approach, and you can see the corruption and the pure, this is appointments by people who we know are not popular with the people. This is a recipe for a disaster, and it calls and yearns for a revolution, and it's going to happen. Now, I will get to the topic at hand without wasting any time, because I told you today I won't be here for long because it's Christmas Day and you're probably somewhere busy. You don't have time to get into the mtandao and watch this. But I wanted to get this off my chest before I forget. As I said, I'll zero in on the biolabs in Kenya. Now, for those of you who have been following the international news, especially the war between Ukraine and Russia, there was one of Russian generals, if I could get his name, I think his name is Igor something. I forgot his name. Vicky Hanel, karibu sana. Thank you so much. Happy Christmas Day too. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And happy holidays, festive days, whatever day that you are celebrating. I hope you're doing well. Vicky, thank you so much for joining me. By the way, again, since we are, I'm wishing everyone Merry Christmas. Please take your time, just 1 second, to like the video, subscribe, share, like, comment, and all that good stuff. And if you're going to watch this and repeat, as many of you will, because I know today is a Christmas day and you're spending it with your family, please, when you watch it and repeat, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. This channel is all about Kenyan politics, okay? So thank you. Now that we got that off, let's get back to the topic. For those of you who have been following the news, especially regarding the war between Ukraine and NATO, okay, NATO basically is the West, the US being the major ally in there, Germany, UK, and some other nations, France, and so forth, okay? You can go check it out. Oh, you're working in the hospital, okay. Oh, hope you're making that good money, that holiday pay, naingia vizuri, eh? Yeah, I know. So, enjoy your time in the hospital. Hopefully it's not, I'm sorry to hear that it's too busy, Vicky, but tegeneza your holiday pay, okay? Hopefully they're giving you the holiday bonus or pay, all right? But anyway, as I said, the NATO are in conflict, military conflict with Russia. And if you've been following, as I said, last week part one, there's a Russian general that was assassinated by a bomb which was detonated in a taxi. Of course, rumors is that the CIA were behind this. If you know, of course, the Ukrainian forces took the responsibility and said they were behind it. but anyone that has any brain cells know that the war in Ukraine forces are pretty much depleted. It's the American Special Forces, French Special Forces, and the United Kingdom Special Forces who are really, fighting along. The few Ukrainian forces are there. You can see you do your research. The Ukrainian forces are so depleted. They don't have, the army is not enough. If you're an immigrant there, they will force you to join the army. If you're a young man in Ukraine right now, they will force you. You'll be abducted and forced to join the military. And they'll train you and put you up on the front lines to fight the Russians, because they don't have enough army men. Nobody wants to fight the Russians. And again, Russia really do not want to fight Ukraine. They consider Ukraine as part of Russia. Historically, they share the same history, and they consider them brothers. Some parts of Ukraine speak Russian, okay? So they don't see them as enemies. But because NATO is trying to destabilize Russia for whatever reason, I can give you 1,000 reasons for that, but that's not what this topic is about, because I know you're sitting there asking, what has all this, what are you saying? All that you're mentioning, what has that have to do with Kenya? I will come to it. So here it is. This is how it comes down to Kenya. This general that was assassinated, I believe his name was General Igor something, Kilish something. I forgot his name. Just Google it. Simple Google will help you. And I'll play the clip right now. So this general was assassinated, and it is rumored that the U.S. Special Forces, along with the CIA, carried out the attack. Why did they kill this general specifically? Karibu sana Jacinta, I sing you. Why did they kill this general specifically? Well, this general, when the war started between Ukraine and Russia, Russian made inroads in Ukrainian territory, which is historical Russian territory, okay? You can go back and look at the treaty that they had in 1999, where NATO say they will not expand east towards Russia, but they reneged on that. And that's why Putin said, hey, listen, you guys promise you'll not try to encroach on our side of the land, but you've done that, and you're telling us that, Ukraine will become a member of NATO, and you will arm Ukraine, which is basically a declaration of war. I'm just giving you a background of why this thing started. But anyways, after the war started, earlier this, I don't know, whenever it started, was it last year or some years back, whatever case is, when people are accusing Russia of, invading Ukraine, the Russians tumbled on some things, okay? They tumbled on some laboratories, okay, and documents. They bombed some of it, and they went and found some documentations, labs, and this particular general who was murdered, bombed to death, he compiled a report. He compiled a report based on the documentations that they found on these laboratories, and the people who are working in these laboratories who are arrested. And he prepared a report which he pointed the finger at the United States government, saying that the United States government is involved in, creating some stuff in the lab. Okay, so in fact, it even say that he accused the U.S. government of being behind this whole pandemic that we experienced from some few years back, 2021, 2020. Okay, remember that? So anyway, so this guy compiled that report based on the investigation that it carried out, and he went ahead and presented it to the United Nations, expecting the United Nations to take action on the matter, okay? But nothing happened. So he's been vocal about this, and he has been speaking publicly about this. And yes, absolutely. Yes, Jacinta. Yes. So after this, this report has been in news. So he's been making rounds on the media platforms. Of course, all the major Western media, the CNN, MSNBC, BBC, all that stuff. The Western media will not cover this. They didn't even cover the fact that these laboratories were were found. Okay, so anyway, now that this guy, had been, they offed him through this terrorist attack, bomb. Reports are coming out. His investigation, his reports that he found, he compiled. It's out there, and people are reading. And the more they read, the more terrifying it is. And some of it points the finger to the U.S. base in Kenya, which apparently there's a laboratory somewhere in Nakuru, and I will show you that. But anyway, before I get that, let me show you the video of this guy talking about the whole thing, and then we shall get to where it addresses the Kenyan part of it. Okay, all right. Let's get to it. Let me start with the first one here. And please take your time and, take a minute to just like the video, share, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. I'm again. All right, Twende. Let me play this, the first one, and then we will continue. Like I said, I won't be here for too long, but just wanted to speak about this. Okay. All right, you, Twende.
In the Ministry of Health of Ukraine and United States, in particular the investment fund Rosemont Seneca, which is headed by Hunter Biden. Rosemont Seneca Partners is the firm tied to United States, in particular the investment fund Rosemont Seneca, which is headed by Hunter Biden. Rosemont Seneca Partners is the firm tied to Hunter Biden, the U.S. president's son. And the Russian Defense Ministry is listing financial entities that are involved in these biolabs in Ukraine. Now, they also listed George Soros's Open Society Institute and Open Society Foundations, which are also involved with them, and as well as the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine and the Ministry of Health of Ukraine, and the U.S. Department of Threat Reduction. All of them seem to be tied in with these biolabs, and it appears that that Rosemont Seneca Partners, the reason that they would be involved is because they have a relationship with Metabiota and Black and Beach, which are main suppliers of Pentagon biolab materials. Now, Moscow is also coming forward and saying that it appears these biolabs are connected with institutions and research organizations that are related to nuclear missiles. This is what was said. The scale of the program is impressive. In addition to the military, the U.S. Agencies for International Development, the George Soros Foundation, and the Center for Disease Prevention Control are directly involved in its implementation. Scientific supervision is carried out by leading research organizations, including the Los Alamos National Laboratory, which developed nuclear weapons as part of the Manhattan Project. All these activities are carried out under the full control of the Pentagon. Now, the over 30 biolabs are accused by Russia of being involved in weapons development and trying to develop biological weapons. Now, the USA denies this and insists they are simply research facilities. And we did hear acknowledgement of these facilities' existence from U.S. Undersecretary Victoria Nuland.
Ukraine has biological research facilities. We are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
The fact that that she expressed this concern about their possibly getting into the hands.
All right, so that's just a background. That's the general who was head of the, I think defense department of Russia or something like that. That's the general that they took out. But here is, then I'll bring the part of it that has to do with Kenya. Okay, just give me a second. All right. So here's the second clip that I want to show you. He continues talking about these biolabs. Of course, the U.S., like you had Nuland, who has since resigned. Remember this, the lady who was trying to negotiate with Ibrahim Traore behind the French. Once Ibrahim Traore kicked out the French, she went and tried to convince Ibrahim Traore to, maintain the U.S. forces there. And Traore said, no, you also have to leave. And soon after, Victoria Nuland resigned from her position. Okay. Now, again, I won't get into the U.S. politics. As you can see, some of the companies who are, kind of financing behind this US labs in Ukraine was, is connected to Hunter Biden, which is Biden's side. We shall not get into that because that's US politics, okay? I just want to mention the part that has to do with Kenya. But before, I want to give you a quick background on that, okay? So here's this general again when he was mentioning about this particular labs and all this stuff, okay? Again, they're saying these are military laboratories that are, meant to use, they come up with all these diseases and stuff. But of course, the US responded by saying these are research labs. These are not biolabs that are used to make biochemical weapons, okay? But anyway, here is the second part of it. Here it is.
Нехарактерными инфекциями отмечен в данный момент в ряде стран. И то есть тоже мы можем говорить о том, что это не без помощи американских биологов.
Я думаю, что вот так огульно заявлять, мы же все-таки должностные лица. Ведь биологическое оружие, если посчитать, какой ущерб нанес ковид, то, наверное, будем говорить, за 2 года, да?
Ну, основная такая пандемия 2 года шла.
То даже ее нельзя сравнить с ущербом, который был во Вторую мировую войну. Это в десятки раз больше. Зато выгодоприобретатели той же Big Pharma.
Вы имеете в виду фармацевтические все компании?
Компании, которые в основном находятся у нас там в Соединенных Штатах, это там колоссальные. Как-то вот так.
То есть вопрос
стоит.
Да.
Вопросы мы задаем, мы же передаем документы. Вот характерна реакция Соединенных Штатов Америки, про которые мы говорим. Ни одного опровержения тем документам, которые мы предъявили, не было. Мы передали документы, это более, наверное, 2000 листов.
Sorry, let me
в Организацию Объединенных Наций. 2 года, да?
Ну, основная такая пандемия 2 года шла.
То даже ее нельзя сравнить с ущербом, который был во Вторую мировую войну. Это в десятки раз больше. Зато выгодоприобретатели той же Big Pharma.
Вы имеете в виду фармацевтические все компании?
Компании, которые в основном находятся у нас там в Соединенных Штатах, это там колоссальные. Как-то вот так.
То есть вопрос
стоит.
Да.
Вопросы мы задаем, мы же передаем документы. Вот характерна реакция Соединенных Штатов Америки, про которые мы говорим. Ни одного опровержения тем документам, которые мы предъявили, не было. Мы передали документы, это более, наверное, 2000 листов в Организацию Объединенных Наций.
Какой ответ пришел?
У нас, как правило, 2 ответа. Один ответ происходит в Соединенных Штатах Америки. У них же он стандартный. Все, что не делается, все делается в интересах национальной безопасности Соединенных Штатов. И нам надо доверять.
Слепо доверять.
Да, слепо доверять. Там политика глобального биологического контроля. Они поняли, что это работает, что посредством искусственно создаваемых таких кризисных ситуаций биологического характера можно управлять миром. Ведь ничего бесплатно они не делают. И даже поставляя каким-то государствам на безвозмездной основе, она не такая безвозмездная, как они в этом говорят.
All right, so you see that gentleman is saying, they have more than 2,000 documents that back their claims. And of course, there's a global biochemical laws that govern how much you can produce, what you can produce and stuff like that. And it seems like the US have violated all these rules. But they usually say, trust us. They don't let international community to look into what they're producing these labs, as you heard the gentleman say. Soon after that general, specifically that was speaking to the reporter, made those claims, he lost his life in a bomb, and it is said again that it is rumored, there's no confirmation, that the American intelligence here was behind his death. And you remember Putin after that said, we are basically at war. Following that, there was also another building that was attacked in Russia by a drone. But, this is part of the, conflict between NATO and Russia. But now, some of you are asking, okay, this is well and good. You're telling us about all this stuff, biolabs in Ukraine and all that stuff. What has that to do with Kenya? Here is a very, very interesting tweet today, okay? Let me show you this tweet. That even before that, remember when Ruto was telling us when he got into power in a few minutes, when he took the presidency, okay? And he was telling us how Kenya will have our own factory that produces, all this bio stuff. Remember that? Okay, that was memo that was sent to him by the Westerners, telling him, listen, we are going to do this, all right? But here it is. I want you to read carefully what I'm about to show you, because apparently there are people who are reading all these documentations. I would like to get my hands on it. And if I find it, I won't probably, I will not talk about it here, because that stuff's the serious stuff, okay? I don't want them to come for me, all right? But here's a tweet that was made that I found interesting. Mko sawa, haya ndio hiyo. So here it is. Are you ready? Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades? So Sputnik, there's a guy called Sputnik. It's Sputnik International, whatever. I don't know if it's a guy or it's an organization, but they usually give news about the Russian stuff. Okay, so here it is. Here is the names. The Russian Defense Ministry has unveiled which officials from the United States and various African nations are involved in the implementation of military biological programs on the African continent. Look at the names. Let me expand this. Haya, mnaona hizo majina. All right. There's Alexis Robinson, the Mzungu. This guy is called John Nkoimo. He's from Kenya. He's the head of the Special Operations Command, SOCOM, in Kenya. John Nkoimo. Then there's a lady called Jane Wachira. Okay. Jane Wachira, in Kenya. She's the Chief Executive Officer, Kenya Veterinary Vaccine Manufacturing Institute. Unakumbuka vile Ruto alituambia ati hizi maninio zinatengenezwa Kenya. Hizo maninio. Hizo shindano, sitaki kusema jina. Si ndio unakumbuka? Unakumbuka vile remember that? Si mnasikia hii mambo ya kudunga ng'ombe shindano. Haya ndio huyo sasa mnamsikia. That is the head of Chief Executive Officer, Kenyan Veterinary Manufacturing Institute, okay? Kevera, whatever the case, okay? Then this is a Nigerian lady, Regional Director Walter Reed, Helena Mary, sorry. Regional Director Walter Reed Army Institute of Research in Nigeria. Then there's Regional Director Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, Tanzania, the Mzungu over there. But there are two people from Kenya here. That's, Mr. John Nkoimo, the head of the Special Operations Command in Kenya, and the Chief Executive Officer, Kenyan Veterinary Vaccine Manufacturing Institute, Miss Jane Wachira, okay? Elima Mary and Mark Breda ni moja ametoka Tanzania, mwingine ametoka Nigeria. But these two right here, these two, as you can see, if you can follow. So you come naona, these two. Huyu na huyu. Hawa wametoka Kenya. Yeah, na ndugu zetu. Haya. Yes, you're right, Jacinta. I'm sure there's laws, but you know how much African governments care much about laws. They do not. They do not. They do not. So those are the people who were in here. So here it is. Sputnik also was responding. This is the departments of the US who are kind of, they say it's behind this, but I will not get to that. Actually, here it says, key statements by the Russian Defense Ministry on the US military and biological activities in Africa. The US military biological presence in the African continent is expanding rapidly, according to Major General Akshay Ritishev, whatever, deputy of the, I'll not read that. The clients are that, as you had this guy, the State Department, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Health, Agency for International Development, National Security Agency, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, which is CDC, Defense Threat Reduction Agency, Bureau of Medicine and Surgery, Army Medical Research and Development Command. Go read that in your own time, okay, if you want to read that stuff. So they have these labs everywhere in South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, all those countries that they have puppets in. I mean, how popular is Ramaphosa? Zuma basically beat him. He had to rig the elections to come back, ANC. All right. Kenya, or we have puppets. Okay. In Nigeria, we have the biggest puppet, Tinubu, whatever his name is. That's octogenarian. I think he's actually 90 by now. But here it is. Okay. So there's the two. Can you see it? Let me find it. Sandy Onana Babu Ali, the guy called Babu retweeted this. I retweeted this from Babu, say, the Russians have smoked us out. The Russians, those are part of the documentation that this general actually, revealed on how Kenya is involved in this these biolabs, okay? Sasa ndio mkisikia ati watu wanasema ati hizi maninio, hizi mashindano tunatengeneza hapa Kenya. They are right. Inatengenezwa Kenya lakini zimetoka huko Ulaya. Wadunge nao mangombe zetu alafu tuanze kupata magonjwa mingi. You had that general say that they create this crisis, this easy pandemics. They create them. They are man-made, okay? By now, if you don't know this, then I can't help you. But so here's just, again, Mr. Nkoimo hapo wa Kenya, isema, and he lives in Nakuru, Kenya, residence, okay? Kenya liaison for DTRA's Chemical, Biological, and Radiological and Nuclear, CBRN Capability Program, provides DTRA access to information of interest to American specialists, data on pathogens identified in the country, and also assist in DTRA conducting animal experiments using particular dangerous pathogens under the guise of training and education of the Kenyan something personnel. No. We have to read this again. Jesus. Forgive me for my sins. Listen to me. Let's connect the dots. Remember, Ruto and the members of his administration they have been trying to convince us that ng'ombe zetu zinafaa kuchapwa shindano because they might be having easy foot and mouth na hizi magonjwa mingi. Listen to the statement that is written under Mr. John Koimo. I will read it to you again so you can get the connection. I will read it again. Listen. John Koimo, Major General, General Officer Commanding Special Operations Command, SOCOM in Kenya. His residence, he resides in Nakuru, Kenya. Listen to what he says. He's the Kenyan liaison for DTRA's Chemical, Biological, Radiological, and Nuclear, CBRN, Capability Program. Now listen. Provides DTRA access to information of interest to American specialists, data on pathogens identified in the country, okay? And also assists in DTRA conducting animal experiments. Listen to me. Conducting animal experiments. Hapa hivi, let me enlarge it. Mnaiona kwa screen? Conducting animal experiments using particular dangerous animal experiments using particularly dangerous pathogens under the guise of training and educating of Kenyan something personnel. I couldn't see because it's redacted here by that. Unaona? So under the guise, wanajifanya ati we are educating you on ways in which these cows cannot get sick. So let us tuwachape hii shindano ndio wasishike. Ndio maana unasikia also assist in DTRA conducting animal experiments using particularly dangerous pathogens under the guise of training and education of Kenyan personnel. Residents in Kenya. John Como, Major General Officer Commanding Special Operations Command, SOCOM in Kenya. Now, let's get to the other one. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let's get to the other one. You know, the more you read this, the more you know. Sasa ndio huyu Jane Wachira, Chief Executive Officer, Kenya Veterinary Vaccine Production Institute, okay? Now, soma hapa. Mnaiona? One of DTRA's key partners in Kenya oversaw the upgrade of Kevevapi, which is the Kenya Veterinary Vaccine Production Institute, okay? Biolab in 2022. Provides Kevevapi and DTR with collaboration to conduct unlicensed vaccine and drug trials in Kenya and bioprospecting in the region. Provides U.S. specialists with the access to Kenya's collection of high-threat pathogens. Residents, Nairobi, Kenya. Should I read this again? Because I'm just startled by reading this. Can I? Sijui niendelee ama ni? Let me just read it one more time. Jen Wachira, she's the Chief Executive Officer of the Kenyan Veterinary Vaccine Production Institute, which is in brief called Kevevapi. One of DTRA's key partners in Kenya. She oversaw the upgrade of Kevevapi Biolab in 2022. Provides Kevevapi and DTRA with collaboration to conduct unlicensed vaccine and drug trials in Kenya and bioprospecting in the region. Provides U.S. specialists with access to Kenya's collection of high-threat pathogens. Residents in Nairobi, Kenya. Resides. That's where she resides. Mnasikia Ruto anataka mchape ng'ombe ninio shindano. And by the way, everybody is getting paid. Ruto is getting paid to let this go on. Our majamaa is getting paid. Everyone is getting paid. Na wanaambia this is for education. Wacha tuwafundishe vile vitu zinafanywa. Nyinyi mnafikiri you are getting education, but no. Of course, like I said, they exploit you because they know you have poor education. That's why wanataka kuleta hizi education funding ambao za hatuwezi so that the poor cannot make it. So you can get the education and be equipped and know the kind of games they are playing. They don't want to educate you. So wanakuja hapa wanawadanganya wanaambia hey, wacha hii kitu ni nzuri tupatie hizi mang'ombe hizi vitu. Joseph Baidas anasema enabling the testing of unlicensed vaccines and drugs as well as conducting biointelligence operations. Absolutely. Mnaona mambo inaendelea hapo hivyo? Mnaona uchali? John Koimo. Mnaona Nkoimo hapo hivyo? Yeah? Nkoimo. What does it say? One last time. Kenyan liaison for DTRA chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear CBRN capability program provides DTRA access to information of interest to American specialists, data on pathogens identified in the country, and also assist in DTRA conducting animal experiments using particular dangerous pathogens under the guise of training and education of Kenyan personnel. This is John Koimo, Major General, okay? General Officer Commanding Special Operations Command, SOCOM, in Kenya. He resides in Nakuru. Yeah. Now you see the connection. You see the connection, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and comrades. Now you see why Ruto is anawaambia ati hizi mang'ombe zipigwe shindano. And by the way, Ruto has been paid billions in order for him to let this go on in Kenya, because this cannot go on without the consent of the head of the state and the consent of all different departments within the head of NINIOM in the executive branch. Karibu sana Gypsy Corner. Happy holidays, my good friend. Nice seeing you. So you see what's happening. That's what's now. How do we link that with the current abductions that's happening? I've painted a picture for you relating to you. Crap. My thing is dying. I've painted a picture for you how that general, what led to his death, what made him Walimdedisha, because he was revealing this thing. He compiled, he said he had more than 2,000 documentation that was to corroborate his claims. He presented it to the United Nations. The United Nations turned a blind eye. And Africa, in fact, somebody posted, I don't know if I retweeted it. I probably didn't, but Africa is the dumping site. That's where the United States does its experiments on Africans, animals, African humans, African plants, and all that stuff. That's where they conduct their tests, because they know they have their puppets ready, like Ruto, who they'll pay a couple of billions, gazillions of US dollars for them to conduct these things. And they will tell you that this is good for the wanajifanya ati this is good for the animals, this is good for you. Yeah. Very soon utaanza kuona kaa hizi mang'ombe zinaanza kukufa na zinaanza kushikwa na ugonjwa ambao hata uelewi ni ugonjwa gani, na wale watu wanakula nyama wataanza kugonjeka. And you wonder why, what's going on. In fact, there was a case in one of the South American countries. I don't know if it was Chile or Guatemala or whatever the case is, where they discovered that hizo mashindano ambao they were giving those mashindano to women. And after a while, they noticed that every woman in that country that received that shindano could not give birth. And it was that shindano that is being proposed by Bill Gates. That's why you see there's several nations that are trying to prosecute Bill Gates. Okay. So, yeah. Mambo ni hayo. Traore have just started a revolution. Others should follow to liberate Africa from these sick demonic people. Absolutely. My auntie. Yeah. So these puppets, the Tinubu, Ramaphosa, Ruto, I don't think Museveni has agreed, but I won't be surprised if he does. Huh? This is what's going on. Now, how does that connect with the abductions? It connects with the abductions that are happening in this sense. Okay, listen carefully. This is how it connects. Ruto is already unpopular, very unpopular. Okay, Raila tried to save him. Uhuru is trying to save him. Of course, they're not trying to save him, but they're trying to, come together and give us a bullshit sense of unity. Oh, we are uniting because we are the tribal chieftains, and if Raila joins Ruto, that means Wajaluo have joined the Kalenjin. If Kenyatta joins Ruto, that means the Kikuyus have joined the Kalenjin. Okay, and the Kenyans are one. So the others also shall join us because Musalia Mudavadi is. You see this game, how they're playing it? Okay, that's how they're playing it. All right. So how does that, again? How does that connect to the Ruto's administration is in trouble. Okay. Nobody likes them. Nobody wants them. They want him out, gone. Okay. So if you notice, the number one people who are the number one target are young folks who are posting anything anti-Ruto. Because remember, in a revolution, the first line of defense, the first weapons that usually start is the war of propaganda, the war of information. Okay? They cannot stop this information from people getting this information, okay? They cannot stop the young folks from getting the information. And these young folks are making these Kasongo memes. They're posting, they're exposing what Ruto is doing. And so they're changing the narrative. They're countering the government's propaganda to a point where any governmental official cannot stand to explain to the Wananchi what they're actually doing, because no one wants to listen to them, because these young folks who are posting all these memes, Kasongo and all this stuff, have already painted, created a perception of who the people think Ruto is. He's a liar, he's a murderer, he's an abductor, all those things. So what Ruto is doing is trying to intimidate anyone who is anti-Ruto Kasongo by abducting them in order to stop this flow of information that is changing the perception of the few who might be still believing in Ruto. So that's why you see he's going for all these internet guys. Ndio maana wanataka kuleta ile laws. You heard me yesterday on my live yesterday when I was talking about that ninio. Ile law wanataka kuleta ya cyber cafe, sijui every cyber cafe has to have a CCTV na mpaka wakwae na ninio. Every website ambao utakuwa una visit, they can track it. Wanataka kujua ulienda kwa website gani. You understand what I'm saying? That's how they are doing. Yes, this is eugenics, basically, again. Yeah, it is eugenics. Yep. Tinubu is worse than a monster. Can't stand him. He's working for FBI and the CIA. Yeah, he is. Remember, Tinubu also lied about him graduating in University of Chicago. Is it not University of Chicago, University of Illinois in 1970 something, 9, and people went and asked and they didn't see his picture. He was not there. There was no nowadays you can't lie. You can't say that I went to Harvard in 1988. There are Kenyans who live in Boston, Massachusetts. They'll just go to Harvard and check the records, and if they don't see it, they'll post it online and say you're lying. That's why Oscar Sudi is being exposed. So you can't lie. I guess Ruto's mindset is to make money off his people, his resources, any way he can. Maybe. I don't know what motivates him. But Ruto needs to go. The thing is, the reason why I say Ruto might be forced to resign soon, because the more unpopular he becomes, the bigger liability he becomes to those, his ventriloquist, his puppet master, okay? If they find that people don't like him, like his puppet master, if they feel like Ruto is so unpopular that a revolution might take place, they might ask him to resign and replace him with another version of Ruto, a more subtle leader. And that's why I'm saying Ruto's problem is very abrasive with it. I mean, he just picked Murkomen to be the interior minister or whatever, cabinet minister or whatever the case is. From becoming, he was first the ministry, he was the CS of transportation. He failed abysmally in that position. Flat-footed, failed totally, looted the money for transportation. He moved him to sports, failed in that sports docket. Now he moved them for internal or whatever. And he will fail again. He's not even tried to hide it. So yeah. So that's why I'm telling you, with this revelation, it started out with that Russia Defense Ministry when they invaded and Ukraine, some parts of Ukraine that used to be Russia. They found these labs and they collected documentation, 2,000 documentation according to that general, and he exposed it, took it to the UN, and now the documentation is kind of being leaked all over. I don't know, I haven't seen it yet, but it has links to Africa. And it explains that there's African nations, including Kenya, where they are doing all these experiments on animals and humans and all this stuff. And Kenya is one of them. They give them the names and all that stuff. And while people are resisting, while people are trying to resist, the young folks are talking about it, are trying to post ridiculous news. Now he's abducting people because he's becoming a liability. With the new administration coming in January 20th, we don't know what the new administration's relationship will be with Ruto. Because even if you see Blinken, I think he's the Secretary of State or something, coming out and speaking against abductions in Kenya, that's how awful this is. If the puppet master is even complaining about how abrasive and criminal their puppet is becoming, if you are a loose end, they will cut you off and replace you with another puppet. You're very replaceable, Mr. Ruto. But we'll wait and see. Ladies and gentlemen, I won't stay long, like I said. Let me start my day. Thank you so much. Palawala Pride, Joseph Baders, Jacinta Teresa Smith. Thank you very much. Gypsy Corner, you came in late, but thank you so much for joining us. Who else? Let me not forget anyone here. There was a lady who was the first one here. Vicky Hanel was the first one here. I hope she's enjoying her shift, wherever she is. She's told me she's working today, Christmas Day. Hopefully anatengeneza hiyo pesa ya ninio. Yeah, holiday pay, yeah? Na bonus, na kadhalika, right? But anyway, that's what I wanted to tell you for this Christmas. That's my Christmas gift to you. Some info on the biolabs that are in Kenya. So now you can link. You heard what I read. You can link what they're saying with the hiyo shindano Ruto nataka kupatia ma cows. Kwa sababu anasema ati ng'ombe zetu zinanyamba sana. It's natural to nyamba. Any human being, mammal, unyamba, even plants. Okay? So, yeah. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'll stop here. I wanted to keep it short today because it's Christmas Day and I know you have a lot of things to do. Principal Kaurun, nice seeing you too. Please, just do me a favor. 2025 will be fire, Joseph Baders. I agree with you. Okay? Thank you so much. Do me a favor. Just hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. Like the video. Comment. Put the notification bell on. Pow. And comment. If you're going to watch it in repeat, do the same. I'll see you guys later. Merry Christmas and have a happy new year. Tuonane. Badai. Peace and blessings. I'm out.